The first interval we're going to talk about are seconds. Now, these are easy in the sense that they're just adjacent notes out of the major scale. The reason they're called seconds is because you're encompassing two-letter names. So if I look at my E major scale, I have E, which is 1, and F sharp, which is 2. So that's an interval of a major second. A major second is a whole step, 2 frets. A minor second is 1 fret. So if we lay this out on one string, we can see things a little more in terms of these linear measurements. So let's go to the first string, for example. Here I have the open E. So I go up a whole step, which is always going to be number 2. There's my major second interval. Then I go up another whole step to my 3. Okay, then I go up a half step to my 4. Whole step up to the 5, whole step up to the 6, whole step up to the 7, a half step from 7 to 8. So you have major second intervals. Those are whole steps between all of your major scale degrees, except 3 and 4, 7 and 8. That's going to be important for you to remember that. And look what this does. It puts it basically in two shapes. You're either going to have whole steps. So if you were... I just went and played those major second intervals on the first string using a hammer-pull combination, so I see them. Now, when I play those, I'm thinking of the names of the notes. If you're not, you're building a pretty weak foundation because you're going to get lost big time, I promise you. Then I look at my two minor second intervals. As I do this, I'm thinking of the numbers and the names of the notes. So I know there's 3 and 4, 7 and 8, okay? But we're talking about building intervals which are harmonic, not just melodic intervals. This is a melodic interval. It's a major second melodic interval because it's only one voice, it's monotone, monophonic, only one note at a time. I want to be able to play these seconds in a harmonic situation where they ring together. So what does that mean? Obviously, I can't play both notes on the same string. I said that earlier. So we're going to lay things out, and the way the guitar's tuned, you have these perfect fourth intervals between all of your strings except the second and the third string. So let's look at diagram 1, the E major scale in seconds on strings 4 and 3. Notice I said 4 and 3, not 3 and 4. That's because you're thinking from low to high in terms of pitch, and that's how it goes on the guitar. I've color-coded these, so if I look at the E major scale in seconds on these two strings, this is as far down and as far to the left as I can go in the key of E and play notes in the E major scale on those two strings. So I have an F sharp and a G sharp. Now if I play this over an E bass, your first jam track, it's a pretty good sound, isn't it? But you hear how... Pretty good sound. You like it? You're like, okay, yeah, that sounds pretty cool. I could use that. Matter of fact, let's just add it into an E chord. Here you have an E chord. So when I want to play an E add 9, I raise that E to an F sharp. So now I have got an E add 9. But here I've got all 6 strings ringing. I just want to play these two voices. See how it's a little more open and I can hear those. I don't need to play all those others. I can add any other ones I want. I can add the first 2 strings open because that's my 5 and my 1. Right? Okay, so that's a pretty good sound. It's an add 9 chord, major triad with the 9th added because I've got a 2 and a 3. 2 adjacent notes out of the E major scale. All right, pop quiz here. Let's see if you're a genius or not. So if I move a 2 up to the next number, what's it going to be? And if I move a 3 up to the next number, what's it going to be? So if I have a 2 and a 3, I need to move to a 3 and a 4. I hope that's not too complicated for you, because if it is, maybe you need to be doing something else. Just teasing you. So I need to move this up. But now wait a minute. A couple minutes ago, Carlton said that it's major second intervals between all the scale degrees except, which ones? 3 and 4, 7 and 8. So here I have 2 and 3. What's going to happen when I play 3 and 4? The shape's going to change because now I need to play a minor second interval. So if you look at diagram 1, you're going to have 2 shapes, major second intervals and minor second intervals. How many minor second intervals will you have? You're only going to have 2, between the 3 and the 4 and the 7 and the 1. Every place else, it's going to be a major second interval. So suddenly what looked like was going to be pretty complicated It's not that complicated. You've got two shapes, two intervallic patterns that you're going to use. So let's just go through diagram one. I want you to play along with me. Now, you're going to have to hold the guitar classical style, and you're going to have to extend and get out here. So let me give you a couple technical tips. Don't hold the guitar at an angle like this, because you're not going to be able to get your hand under there. Hold it so the face of the guitar and the fingerboards are perpendicular to the floor at a right angle, 90 degrees. That means you sit up nice and straight, you lean forward, because you want to get it to where you can get your wrist under there without excessive contortion. You got to drop your hand, put your thumb on the back of the neck, and on the tips of your fingers. Now, if we're just playing these two voices, then it doesn't matter if your first finger touches the second string. If I wanted that string to ring open, look what I just had to do. Watch my fretting hand. Here I play those two notes. If I want to play that second string open, you see I have to go a little farther underneath to get my index finger a little more upright. Okay? If you're not accustomed to this, here's a great exercise. I've given this in my other courses. Just grab the neck so your knuckles are above the sixth string and just practice stretching. Don't snap the neck off your guitar, and just gradually stretch until you get comfortable with this. You might need to drop your shoulder for some of these things. When you watch me play some of these big, long, stretched out structures, you're going to see me do like this. You have to get to where you can play the notes. All right? So I don't want to go on and on about this, but you're going to use your fourth and your first fingers for all these major second and minor second intervals. So we move each note up to the next note in the scale. That's our definition of a chord scale. We have 7 different notes in the scale, so that means this one idea, this is what I call the seed principle, this one idea is going to generate how many more? 6 more, because I can move it up through the scale. So as I do that, I then have, now I'm playing the G sharp and the A, scale degrees 3 and 4. Then I move up 4 and 5. They're a whole step apart, so I've got my major second interval, the A and the B. Now I move up to the B and the C sharp. 5 and 6 out of the scale, so it's a major second, same shape. Then I move up to the 6 and the 7, the C sharp, the D sharp, another major second interval. Now I have to go back to that minor second interval, and the minor second has that peculiar sound. It's like a little fight, a little tension in there. And then I finish off. I've got my 1 and 2, and then I've come full circle. I'm going to play these against the first jam track. Pop quiz, what mode will I be in? And what determines what mode I'll be in? Well, jam track number 1, what's our bass note? It's an E. E is number 1 in the key of E major, so that means I'm going to be in the Ionian mode, another name for the major scale. I'm going to play these and let you just hear them as these two voices against the bass line. Now I move up. So I just improvise with them a little bit. That's your goal, to take these and make music. So the leap is from learning them to making music. Here's what I suggest. Take 2 adjacent structures, because you want to hear how they function against the bass note. This is where you can start applying theory, because I know that that's a 2 and a 3, so I've got something pretty stable, because it's an E add 9. Now here I have a 3 and a 4. The reason it sounds a bit modern or unusual is because I'm establishing an E major chord, because I got the E in the bass, the G sharp, which is 3, but now I have the 4. So that would be an E add 4, not E sus 4. And then what do I have here? Well, here I've got the 4 and the 5. It's ambiguous. It almost sounds like I'm playing an A sus 2 over an E bass, and so on. So as you move up, if you're hungry for the theory, which hopefully you will be down the road, then think it out, because the theory allows you to label these sounds. And you'll say, okay, I've got this sound, and the reason it sounds that way is because I've got these scale degrees. See, that's my logic. It makes sense, because everything ties into scale degrees. But you're probably not going to go there right away. You're probably just going to say, let me just dig these sounds a little bit. I don't want to think too much. So do it. And then just build. So if you've learned the first two voicings, then you learn the next one. Then you try to make some music with just those. And so on. So you could spend quite a bit of time on just these the major scale in the seconds on the third and the fourth strings against jam track number 1. But what happens when I go to jam track number 2? Now I have I've got an F sharp in the bass, right? Okay, what mode am I in now? Because I'm in the key of E. We're going to be in the key of E, and that's our theoretical key. But the street key has just changed, because what's the bass parking on? F sharp. You're hearing F sharp minor tonality, because if you look at chart number 2, the E major scale, let me pull it up so I make sure I tell you exactly what I wrote down. You see that when you have the notes E, F sharp, G sharp, and so on. From E to E, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. But when you do it from F sharp to F sharp, the numbers change, because the formula for the Dorian mode, as I said earlier, is 1, 2, flat 3, 4, 5, 6, flat 7. So every one of these chords, same letter names, same notes, but why is it a different sound? Because the bass note dictates how they're going to sound, how the note is functioning. So when I played this structure and I played it over an E bass, I was playing a 2 and a 3, right? But if I play it over an F sharp bass, it changes. Now it's a 1 and a 2. And doesn't that make sense? Because we have an inverse relationship. As you go up the modes, don't the same letter name notes go down to the next lowest number in your scale? Think about what I just said. Let's look at chart number 2. If I play an F sharp note, well, actually, let's take an E note, for example. If I play an E note and I play that over an F sharp bass, what does it say it is? It's a flat 7. Oh, okay. And if I play over a G sharp bass, what is it now? Okay, let's look at the chart. Oh, it's a flat 6. And then over an A bass, it's a 5. Over a B bass, it's a 4. Over a C sharp bass, it's a flat 3, and so on. Do you see what's happening? Because your bass note's going up in seconds, so your melody tone analysis comes down numerically in seconds. If this math part bothers you, it's really not that complicated. If you just spend 5 or 10 minutes looking at that, you'll say, oh yeah, I see that occurring in this matrix. So that means that now my structures have a different sound. Now this is where you can get something that was kind of weak on the 1 chord, it becomes strong on the 2 chord. Remember when we played this structure? We played the G sharp and the A, right? And over the E bass note, it's kind of vague, kind of spooky sounding, because you're playing an add 4. You've got the 3 and the 4 side by side, right? But now this is what happens here. It's changed, because now you're playing over jam track number 2, which has the F sharp in the bass, so now you have an F sharp minor add 9. You've got, in the key of F sharp, the G sharp is the 2 or the 9, the A is the flatted 3rd. Well, let's continue with this concept. Here it is over the F sharp bass note. Let's listen to it. Here I'm getting a Phrygian Spanish sound because I'm playing a 1 and a flat 2, right? Let's go to the next jam track. Now it's hard to hear because we're down in bass clef, so you'd probably want to raise these up. But the point is, now you're playing an A major 7. We're on the 4 chord, the bass note's an A, so you got the 7 and the 1 side by side. Let's go to the next jam track. get a B bass. So you've got a 6 and a flat 7 side by side. Let's go to the C sharp bass note. You get a 5 and a flat 6. So this is adhering to the principle of this matrix in chart number 2. So we have the jam track supplying the bass note. Watch what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this structure and I'm going to explore on my own. Did you see I just went up the E major scale? E, F sharp, G sharp, A, that could have been an open A just as well, B, C sharp. And I'm playing this minor second interval on top. Well, hey, I've heard tunes that are written that way, where you hear the keyboard or the guitar playing this little ostinato, a repeated figure, and it might have been a particular shape, whatever. In this case, we've got a minor second interval taking place as our ostinato, and then the bass line's moving around. We started on E. Couldn't I start? And so on. So what did I encourage you to do early on? Take one little idea from this course and make some music with it. So on your own, you want to practice playing those different bass notes. That's good for your left hand. It's good for you to learn how to play the guitar like a piano, where you got a bass note and you're playing some chord structures. What if we had done that with our first major second interval? And you'll have to solve the fingering issues. You might get into a corner fingering-wise, but this is good stuff. It'll help you figure things out. All right, so I don't want to spend too much time on this particular interval on these strings because we got a lot of territory to cover, but you have these second intervals, major and minor second intervals on the 3rd and the 4th strings. What you want to do is take diagram 1 and apply it to all of your jam tracks. Have fun, make music. Don't try to learn it all at once because, man, it'll take you a while. Be patient.